Hello, time for another quick video. Dragon Quest VII has just been released on the 3DS. I've played it for a few hours. I'm going to give you my impressions, but first, check this out, what we found in the fridge. An Iron Brew ice lolly. Is that the right way up? Yeah, good.
I mean, you say that, it's annoyed me already, because obviously it should be that way, but the sticks here...
Do you know what I've just noticed? It isn't actually Iron Brew, it's IRN.
It's Iron Brew.
Is that how you spell Iron Brew?
Yeah, the official bar Iron Brew is Iron Brew.
IRN, I've never noticed that before.
It's also not brew.
BRU, brew.
Yeah, but it should be EW. To brew something, to concoct it. Do you not think?
Do you think it'll be fizzy?
I don't know. Like, if they put popping candy elements in there, I'm not going to be happy with it.
Smells like Iron Brew.
Right. It looks radioactive. Right, that face. You're not facing the camera, but that face I just saw makes me not want to try this.
Alright.
Right, I recount this story in private quite often. You ate a really overcooked fish that apparently tasted eggy without realising there was anything wrong with it.
I thought there was egg in it.
So, who would put egg in fish, I don't know. But you saying it's alright doesn't fill me with confidence.
No, it's not. It just kind of tastes like a Solero, but if it had Iron Brew in it.
Right.
It's supposed to be about Dragon Quest.
You know what, I was expecting that to be chocolate, it's not.
No, it's nice, yeah, it's a Solero.
I mean, it's just a slightly odd orange Solero. Yeah.
That's weird. I hope you're aware of what Iron Brew is, because we're not going to explain it.
I might. It's the Scottish national drink. Everyone thinks it's whiskey, but it's not. It's Iron Brew.
There goes Scotland. Cheers for that.
Thanks.
Cheers for that.
I love you, you Scotch people. Stealing someone's joke there, man.
It's a Richard Herring joke.
Yeah. Don't headbutt me.
You know, I picked up Dragon Quest as part of this massive Amazon order I did, because I'm on holiday, and like every time I get to the end of a holiday and it's like I'm going to go back to work, it's like I'm facing, you know, the death sentence, and like doing this big Amazon order, it's like my last meal, so I had a bunch of DVDs and stuff like that. I was looking at the Speed DVD, and on the bottom of the case, I might show a picture of this, it says "Get ready for rush hour." That's weird, isn't it? Because that's another film. So I was thinking, on the DVD for Rush Hour.
Can I just ask, are you going to edit out where you paused to chew food?
No. On the DVD for Rush Hour.
Are you going to edit out me stopping you to ask if you're doing that?
It's quite nice. We'll get to Dragon Quest VII in a minute. On the DVD for Rush Hour, it could say The Fast and the Furious, because that'll work when it's like Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. And then and there has to be a film that come out later. So Speed is 94. Get ready for Rush Hour. Rush Hour 98. The Fast and the Furious. Fast and the Furious is 2001. Then that could say Cars, which is 2006. And then that's the end of that chain. I can't think of another one. You come up with one for Cars, didn't you?
It doesn't work though. It doesn't conform to the premise.
Should I say Planes, Trains and Automobiles at the bottom of Cars? But that's going back in time. We could do that.
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments.
Is it going back in time though? That's the thing, because they have since made Planes.
Yeah, exactly. But the movie's just called Planes.
Yeah, but they might next do Trains. And then they'll merge the worlds and the timelines and just call it Automobiles.
We're making Cars 3.
Oh, well, maybe Cars 3 will have the subtitle Automobiles, because it'll be a prequel set in the 1950s. There you go, Pixar. You can have that one.
Are you looking forward to Incredibles 2?
Couldn't give a toss.
Alright. Dragon Quest VII. And here we are 2 weeks later, giving my first impressions on Dragon Quest VII. I thought I should probably at least unlock the class system before I do anything. It took me 25 hours. 25 hours to unlock a core bit of gameplay. Like, I don't know for sure, but I've got a feeling this game is going to be seriously long. There are 7 characters on this cover. 2 of them I've not even met yet. I'm 30 hours in. My characters are like level 21, so I'm leveling up at a rate of less than 1 level per hour. you know, the pace is pretty slow, and I mean, my memory could be faulty here, but that's pretty typical of an RPG from this era, from about 15, 16 years ago. I think it came out about 2000 originally, before it was remade for 3DS. So what do we think of it, Dragon Quest VII? I'm going to say Dragon Quest as a series, it's one of those games where it's so popular for being what it is, that it's kind of like a slave to tradition, in that if it changes anything, there's just going to be thousands and thousands of people up in arms, you know, there'll just be a big uproar about it. Even though there are some things they probably should change, they probably should update some of the systems in the game, but they don't, because they can't. I don't know, man. So, like, my history with the series is I played a little bit of Dragon Quest IX, and when I say a little bit, I mean like about 15 hours of Dragon Quest IX on the DS. And earlier this year, because 2016 is the 30th anniversary of Dragon Quest, and I realised I'd never finished any of them, I played through Dragon Quest 1 and 2 on the iPad. And a lot of elements from those games, the first two Dragon Quest games, are evident in Dragon Quest VII. I'll give you an example. The item management system, which is balls, which is one of those things they should definitely update or change for the modern era, because it's a pain in the ass. So you've got your party of like 3 or 4 characters, and each of those characters carries their own equipment and items. So you've got to manage like 3 lots of items. It's a pain in the ass. So say you pick up a new piece of equipment, it'll go to the first person in your party who has a spare like pocket for carrying equipment, you know, it has a bit of spare carrying capacity. So say you pick up a sword, which is good for your hero, but he's already, like, his inventory's full, it'll just go to the next person down the line, which might be Maribel. But if you just go to open up the menu and select equipment and then select the hero, that sword won't appear as an option to be equipped to him. You have to go into the item management system, free up a slot in your hero's items by transferring an item to someone else, so let's say Maribel, then get the sword, transfer that into the hero's inventory, and then you can equip it. In fact, now that I think about it, the equip menu is just like completely useless. Just go into item, transfer, select the item that you think of equipping to someone, and then just scroll up and down between the people you can transfer it to, and it'll show you on that screen whether the equipment's any good or not. Which, by the way, it usually isn't. The game has a habit of, like, you can wander around smashing pots and stuff like it's The Legend of Zelda, and you'll often find equipment that you bought like 10 hours ago. This is worthless. Anyways, the item management system, it sucks. And there's a lot of strange holdovers. So if you played any of the old Dragon Quest games, almost all the sound effects will be familiar. The little tunes, the battle music, the little... It's not tune, whatever, like the little sound effect it makes when an enemy appears, the jingle when you level up, it's all very familiar stuff. Like I say, it seems like a series that's just kind of locked into a tradition, for want of a better word. There's a lot of like redundant text, and this gets on my nerves, especially in Japanese games. It seems to pop up, like, I don't know what it is. Like, in my Animal Crossing review I mentioned it, like, it's a pain in the ass to sell stuff because of all the redundant dialogue. Like, it's just not a smooth system at all. Like in Dragon Quest, there's a bit at the beginning of the game where your mum hands you a sandwich, and you see it happen. She's got it in her hand, she passes it to you, and you take it. And then a dialogue bob pops up, it says, your mum has handed you a sandwich. You're like, I know, I just saw it happen. Stuff like that all the way through the game. And if you want to sell an item, you go to the shopkeeper and he goes, hello, what can I do for you today? And then you select sell, and he's like, what would you like to sell? Don't need that there. And then you see a list of all your characters. So you select the character who's holding the thing you want to sell. And then you see all their items and the price next to them that they'll sell for, which is enough information. But then when you hit the item you want to sell, it says, the shopkeeper goes, I can buy that item from you for 35 gold pieces. What do you make of that? And then you get yes or no. It's like, I know you can, because I can see the name of the item and the price it will sell for on the previous screen. Whatever. So it's alright, you click yes, and then he goes, is there anything else you would like to sell? And you're like, okay, da-da-da. And he does that one by one for each item. None of that should be in there. You should just hit sell, see a list of your items, and then when you press the button on the item, it should just go ka-ching, make a ching sound, and deduct it from your list. So you can go ching 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 and just sell like the 5 things you want to sell. Shouldn't take 4.5 minutes to sell some stuff from your inventory, but it does. Dragon Quest VII. Anyway, so that's it. I don't want to like crap all over this game, but I do have a few gripes with it, which I think stem from it just being quite an old game. When I say quite an old game, it was released in 2000, and I was born in 1985, so to me, anything past 2000 is new, and anything pre-2000 is old. That's the cut-off point for me. But that's just my perspective. There are some people who weren't even born until 2000. Anyway, let's not get into a Marcus Old conversation. So what do I like about the game? Everything else. Akira Toriyama's art style I think is really cool. Obviously growing up, like watching Dragon Ball Z was like one of my first introductions into anime, so I've got like a lot of nostalgia for that style. And the class system I mentioned before, it's not particularly in depth. It's not like you know your Bravely Default where you're switching classes quite frequently and it really changes up your character. All it does basically is it gives you a new costume. So each class has a different look for your character. Like they dress up like as a warrior or a priest or something like that, or a sheep. There's one that makes you look like a sheep. That's funny. You know, it's quite cute. So it does that. So that's fun, just like from an aesthetic point of view. God, I'm a wanker. And basically all it does is you learn skills. So you equip a class, and then as you fight in battles, your proficiency in that class will level up. And as it does so, you'll just unlock new skills for your character, and you retain those skills as you switch classes. So you're just building up your repertoire of spells and abilities. It's quite nice. I mean, it's nothing major, but it's a nice function. The story, I like this. Just to remind myself that's what I'm talking about. I like the structure of the game. So far, like the overriding villain hasn't revealed himself. But if Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are anything to go by, it'll just be some guy called the Demon King or the Dragon King who I won't see until the end of the game. He'll just be sat on a big chair and I'll beat him up, and maybe he'll turn into a dragon and I'll beat him up again, and then the world will be saved. You know, big whoop. But like the structure of it so far is that you start off on an island, and apparently it's the only island in the world, but then very quickly you discover this mysterious shrine which has these stone tablets in it which have been fractured into pieces. You collect the pieces of the tablets, and then when you complete a tablet, it whisks you away to an island, some point in the past. And then it's usually in some sort of trouble. You help out the inhabitants of the island, you know, save the day, and then the island appears in the present timeline. You collect more fragments, go to another island, and so on and so on. So it's almost like a TV show where you've got like a monster of the week, you know, where every week your heroes travel to a different island, sort out some trouble, and it might be like a castle that's being attacked by an army of robots, or a village of people who have all been turned to stone, and you've got to find a way to help them out. And it's nice going on this sort of like light-hearted adventure. It reminds me of Grandia from the PS1, which is one of my favourite RPGs, where for most of the game it's just a boy who wants to be like his father. So he sets out into the world to go on an adventure, and he's interested in like ancient ruins and stuff, and it's just you like travelling from one place to another as this excited kid, and he's just like really, you know, like, I don't know, he's just really enjoying himself, like just being on this adventure, and then like the grander scheme sort of unfolds towards the later half of the game, which is pretty much the feeling I get from Dragon. Oh god, it's gone off. Whatever, I was probably nicking footage from Nintendo's YouTube channel there. They won't mind, do they? Don't mind Nintendo, I'm promoting your game. Have I paused it? Was that pause while I was talking? Who cares anyways? Dragon Quest VII. So, would I recommend it or not? I don't know. I'd say I would. If you're a fan of RPGs, especially old school RPGs, then I say check it out. It's one of those, it doesn't hold your hand too much. It's one that you've got to like talk to villagers and stuff to find out what's going on. And if you've played a lot of games, you'll pick things up pretty quickly. Like if someone mentions like, oh, there's been some bandits to the west, and like you know that you've got to go sort out those bandits, because otherwise why would they even mention it? You know, like, why would they bring it up? Like you talk to someone that goes like, oh, I haven't seen James in a while. You're like, oh, James has gone missing, we've got to go find him. Whatever, pull that name out of my ass. Yeah, it's good. I'll probably finish it, but I bought a copy of Fantasy Life quite recently, So I'll probably get distracted and I probably won't finish it. Whatever, it's good. Check it out. Dragon Quest VII. What else did I want to talk about? I don't know. I mean, while I'm here, while I've got the camera running, my phone. Nintendo are doing a thing. Yeah, let's bring it up. Got a tab already. That's it. So I get it right. Yeah, here we are. The NES Classic Edition. This is a thing Nintendo are bringing out. So it's basically like you've seen before, one of these things where you just plug it into your telly, it's got a bunch of games preloaded on it, and then you play them. Great. And these are all classic NES games. I had one of these when they first came out, but then it just sort of stopped working, and then we chucked it in the bin, sold a bunch of games that I can't boot, whatever. It looks pretty neat. So it's not the same size as an old NES, which would be about the size of a PS4, I reckon. I mean, they were pretty enormous, but that's me remembering it from my childhood, so they're probably not. This thing, it looks like you can pick it up with one hand. It's pretty small. What's neat is that they've got the classic NES controller there that plugs into the system, but that will also plug into a Wii remote. So you can use the NES controller, plug it into a Wii remote, and then use it to play your virtual console games. So that's pretty neat. The system itself, well, it's sort of a nice idea. It's one of those things with Nintendo where they seem to have like a good idea, but then they find a way to cock it up or make it just nowhere near as good as it could be. So this thing comes preloaded with 30 games, but that's your lot. I mean, it's quite a good selection of games. Let's have a look down the page here. You get, let's see now, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mega Man 2, Pac-Man, Final Fantasy, the original, that's quite cool, Metroid, Kirby's Adventure, Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, Super Mario Bros. 2. Why is the who ordered this list? Dr. Mario Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream. Is that the full title of that game? Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream? Since when? Whatever. Balloon Fight, who cares? Donkey Kong Jr., Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, Excite Bike, Ice Climber, again, who cares? Kid Icarus, Double Dragon 2, Bubble Bobble, Tecmo Bowl. Why Double Dragon 2 and not Double Dragon? Or maybe it's further down the list. Tecmo Bowl, Castlevania 2, Mario Bros, the arcade game that no one cares about, Super C, Galaga, Star Tropics, Ghosts and Goblins, and Gradius. So that's quite a nice selection of games there. But the problem I have with it is that it's $60, which means it's going to be £60 over here, even though the exchange rate doesn't work like that. Nintendo are just like, who cares? I'll apologise if it isn't, but only if it's like £40, which it won't be. It'll be £60. But those 30 games, that's it. This thing looks like an NES thing. It's got the flap on the front there, but the flap doesn't open. You can't put cartridges into it. Nintendo have said, you know, it doesn't connect to any external media, it doesn't connect to the internet, you know, so you won't be able to like go online and buy more games or plug in a thing that increases the library. It's those 30 games and that's it. So, it could have been a thing, it could have been like a sort of Wii U Lite or something. It could have just been a thing that connects to a version of the Nintendo eShop where all you can buy is the NES classics. But it isn't. They could have opened it up. I don't understand. The NES has hundreds and hundreds of games in its library. Why don't they just put them all for sale? There must be some sort of weird licensing issue, you know, like maybe where the Batman NES game was like, because Warner Bros. Owns Batman, and like that game was developed by like, I don't know, Ocean or something, and like who gets the money, and you know. But there must still be hundreds and hundreds of games that they can put up for sale. How hard can it be? I mean, the elephant in the room, I suppose, with things like this, elephant in the room, such a wanker again, is that you can download probably the entire NES library if you go to the right website, and you're not, you know, you're not troubled by your own morality. You can just steal them all pretty easily, I reckon. Nintendo will probably close this video down. It's supposed to be about Dragon Quest VII, the NES classic. So it's like, nice try, but yeah, not great, Nintendo. Could have been a lot better. Plus, what is the NX? When are you going to reveal it? That's all anyone's interested in. Oh, Nintendo are going to announce a new thing. It's this thing. This is the NX. Now, what is it? Let me just type in Nintendo NX to make sure they haven't unveiled it yet and I just haven't noticed. In Nintendo NX. No, just rumours and leaks, and well, I'm not interested in rumours or leaks and stuff like that. What I want is the official statement from Nintendo. This is what the NX is, this is what it does, this is when it's coming out, which I believe is March next year, but it could get pushed back. It will get pushed back. I don't know. Whatever. Oh yeah, Dragon Quest VII. I wonder if I might have another bash at that, like sum it up, be a bit more concise. It looks nice. It plays very old school. A lot of aspects of it I think could do with modernising. The menu system is quite clunky. Equipment and selling and buying items is a pain in the ass. Item management sucks. But it looks really nice. The story and the structure of it is cool. I'm enjoying that. And it seems like it's going to be a really long game, which is, I don't know, value for money or not. But I've got other games to be playing. I haven't got around to Witcher 3 yet. I mean, come on. I want to play through the Mass Effect trilogy as well. Because Andromeda's coming out. What is this video? Thanks for watching, and see you next time whenever it is. Probably a House of Hell for Halloween, unless I get a Pokemon episode done in between then, which I probably won't. Bye. See this guy here? It's called Kiefer, as in Kiefer Sutherland. You know, because that's the only Kiefer I know. Kiefer Sutherland, the actor from Lost Boys, 24, probably some other stuff as well. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of a weird coincidence. Not even a coincidence, just a thing I know. But then his dad, the king, is called Donald, as in Donald Sutherland. So it's not a coincidence at all. Someone's made a decision to call these two characters Kiefer and Donald, as in the Sutherlands. What? Is that just some weird localization thing? And they called that in Japanese. I can't be bothered to look it up. They're probably not. Although I wonder if in Japanese it's just some other father-son acting combo. Whatever, who cares? Do you know, I don't know. Donald Sutherland, like, I recognise the name, and I know his face. When I looked at his IMDb, I don't think I've seen a single movie that he's ever been in, even though he's like a really famous actor who's been going for years. I know him from that episode of The Simpsons, but obviously you don't see his face in that, he just plays the curator. And I think I might have seen him in the Hunger Games trailer. I must have seen a movie that's got Donald Sutherland in it. What is this video even about? Right, see you next time.